Welcome, 8-pointers. If you've tuned into this episode, it's because you're looking for a method to try and help you teach those around you how to treat you. Within the 8-point plan, one of the areas we like to focus on is that of our relationships. Relationships in every sphere of our life. Often of the time, we grapple in our relationships with certain people because they treat us in a way that brings us down. Inadvertently, they're crossing boundaries. The thing is, in some of these instances, these are people we really love, and we want to keep them in our lives. But the behavior is just starting to chip away at the relationship, and over time, starts to chip away at us. If we don't check this behavior, in other words, correct it, the relationship really stands the risk of being spoiled. And there could be patterns formed within us that over time could cause discourse in our future lives. What I'm aiming to achieve in this episode today is to give you a quick tutorial on a method that I found has really helped me in shaping the negative behaviors of those around me in my life. Very importantly, these are people that don't realize they're causing me pain. And these are people who mean enough to me that we can try to work it out. In short, this is a simple method I use to teach those around me how to treat me. So what's this method? Well, it consists of 5 steps. Step number 1, to call out the behavior. Step number 2, explain the feeling the behavior brings out in you and clearly communicate the boundary. Step 3, to stand in your conviction once you've clearly defined your boundary. Step number 4, to always bounce back. And step number 5, to over-amplify the good in your relationship thereafter. So what is step 1? You want to call out the behavior. What's very important to note when calling out the behavior is you don't want to make it personal. Remember, what you're wanting to change is the behavior, not the person. This is not a personal attack. You don't want that person to feel attacked by you or defensive. You just want to call out the behavior. Keep it simple and without emotion. For example, I've noticed you sulking with me. Very simple, you call out the behavior. What it should not sound like is, you're always sulking with me, you always do this when you don't know what it is you want to say. Can you see the difference? We're simply calling out the behavior. I've noticed of late you're sulking with me. Step number 2, explain how this makes you feel and clearly set out your boundary. I've noticed you sulking with me. When you sulk with me, it makes me feel isolated. It makes me feel like we're not able to resolve our problems equally. I am no longer going to be participating when you are sulking. So there again, you've called out the behavior, you've explained how it's made you feel, and you've clearly communicated your boundary. Step number 3, stand in your conviction. Now this is where it really gets difficult, because this is where you need to put in as much effort as the person you're trying to change the behavior of in. And that's where it really becomes difficult. That person, because historically they've always been able to get away with that behavior with you, they're going to continue to use that behavior when dealing with you. It's up to you to put in the hard work to show that individual that that behavior doesn't work with you, or that by using that behavior, they're crossing a boundary with you. So, step number 3, stand in your conviction. Again, step number 1, call out the behavior. I've noticed you sulk with me. Step number 2, when you sulk with me, it makes me feel isolated and that there's no equitable way to resolve the matter. In future, when you sulk, I won't be participating. Step number 3, the next time that person sulks with you, you stand in your conviction. You just do not pay it any mind whatsoever. None of these text messages, hey, I haven't heard from you, how you doing, what's going on, trying to phone them, they don't pick up, whatever the case may be. You just do not participate in the behavior. So in this example of the sulking, you simply will not participate in it. As hard as it is, you have to ride it out. Step number 4, it can also be a very difficult one, but it is one that is probably the most important, and that is that you always bounce back. Remember, this is not about the person. This is about the behavior. So, when you have acted in your conviction against the behavior that you don't like, remember it's about the behavior and not the person. The responsibility sits with you to bounce back. Remember, we're not playing games here. We are actively trying to teach someone how to treat us. We're trying to show them that the behavior they are exhibiting with us makes us feel badly and it is crossing our boundary. So once we've recognized the behavior, once we've communicated how that behavior makes us feel and what our boundary is, it is our responsibility to bounce back from the conviction. And I'll give you an example in a minute about how to do that. And then the most important element, always amplify, over-amplify, in fact, the good in your relationship. Remember, it doesn't matter how mature you are, and it doesn't matter who this person is to you. Nobody likes this kind of interaction. It's always going to generate a feeling of hurt, a feeling of pain, when you are training or teaching someone how to treat you. It's always going to have some kind of hurt attached to it. So that's why it is super important to always over-amplify the good, the reasons why you love the relationship. So, for example, if you have a friend and the two of you really love to read together, always over-amplify the stuff they do in your relationship that you want to magnify and bring more of into the relationship. So if your friend reaches out and tells you about a new book that she's picked up, you want to over-amplify that. Oh, that's great. I cannot wait to read it. Once you've read it, send me your notes. Let's chat about it. You're over-amplifying the stuff that you really love to almost overcompensate for the stuff that you're trying to teach. So let's look at a few examples of how we can apply these steps to change behavior. Now, I've selected 3 types of examples. One of them particularly is important because it means that we need to come back, and I'll explain to you in a minute why. The first example is changing a person's behavior but not sweeping an issue under a rug. So for example, if you are in a romantic relationship or it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. If you're in a relationship where in a disagreement or in an argument, that person starts to shout in the argument, and that for you in this example is crossing your boundary. You don't like it. Applying this method, you start off by step number 1, clearly calling out the behavior. So in the argument, when that person starts to shout, you're going to say, "I've recognized you shout at me." Step number 2, when you shout at me, it makes me feel belittled. No longer will I get into an argument or a disagreement with you that results in you shouting at me. Step number 1, step number 2, you've done. You've clearly communicated what the behavior is that you don't like or that is crossing the boundary with you. You've clearly communicated what the boundary is, and you've clearly communicated how this behavior negatively affects you. Step number 3, stand in your conviction. So the next time you're in a disagreement or an argument and that person then begins to shout at you again, this is where the hard work steps in, because this is where you need to take the stand and say, "You're shouting at me. You know my stand on this. I will not participate in a conversation with you where you're shouting at me." And you turn around and walk away. Now, this example is very specific because you don't want to, if you are in an argument, clearly there's an issue that needs to be resolved. And you do not want to be seen as walking away from problems or sweeping issues under the rug. So this example, very importantly, step number 4, bounce back. But bounce back in a way that is healthy, bounce back in a way that is constructive, and bounce back in a way that shows you're here to sort things out. I'm here to work this out, but I'm here to work this out without you shouting. So what you want to do is when you bounce back, you don't bounce back as if the issue has been swept under the rug. You bounce back in a way like this. When we were discussing that topic, whatever it is, you got very angry and you shouted. Like I've told you, I'm not going to get into arguments with you or disagreements with you that result in you shouting at me. But now that we've both calmed down, I'd like to hear from you. What made you so angry, and how is it that we can together resolve this matter? So what you've shown is, although you've walked away from the behavior. You're not walking away from the person because you've bounced back, you've come back to resolve the matter. And you're also not walking away from the issue. You're not sweeping the issue under the rug. You're saying, I'm here to work things out, but I'm here to work things out in a way that is constructive and positive for both of us. Then very importantly, over-amplify the good in your relationship. So if that person is your romantic partner and, I don't know, they cooked for you that evening, then make sure you over-amplify the good that they've done. Oh, wow, thank you so much. I've loved dinner tonight. It was a great evening spent with you. You want to over-amplify the stuff that you love. The next example I have for you is one where you're dealing with a friend in a text message. So let's say, for example, every time you hear from this friend or every time your phone bleeps and you look at it and it's a text message of your friend asking for money or whatever the case may be, it's a repeat bad behavior. Step number 1, call the behavior out. Hey Jay, every time I hear from you, you're asking for money. Or every time I hear from you, you're complaining about your work scenario. Call the behavior out. Step number 2, in that same message, clearly communicate how that behavior makes you feel and what your boundary is. So, hey Jay, every time I hear from you, you're asking for money or you're complaining about your work scenario or whatever the bad behavior is you want to clarify. When you message me like this, it makes me feel how you feel. In future, when you message me asking for money or complaining about work, or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to respond. You've clearly identified what the bad behavior is. You've clearly stated how you feel on it, what your position is on it, and you've clearly outlined what the boundary is for that moving forward. Now, very importantly, you need to stand in your conviction. So, the next time you receive the same message with the same behavior, asking for money, complaining about work, or whatever the thing is that's going on in your life, you simply are going to blue tick the message. You need to stand in your conviction. You completely ignore it. But step number 4, remember, this is not about the person. This is about the behavior. The responsibility sits with you to bounce back. So person A sends you the message at 9 in the morning. You've ignored it. You're not playing games. After a little while, text them as you always would. What you're showing that person is, I'm not ignoring you. I love you. This is not about you. This is about that behavior. So for example, if it's a friend of you and a friend of yours and the two of you really love to watch rugby together, then a little while down the line, hey, do you know who's playing on Saturday? So what you're showing is, I've stated how I feel about this behavior, why this behavior is wrong, and what my conviction is moving forward. You've actively messaged me after I've told you, so I've ignored it. But this isn't about you, this is about that behavior. And you've bounced back. And then the last step, always over-amplify the good stuff. So when your friend messages you just to see how you're doing, hey Jay, just checking in, what's going on? You over-amplify that kind of good behavior. I'm doing really well, how's your day at work? Whatever the case may be. What you're doing is you're showing that person that the behavior that they are exhibiting is behavior you don't accept. You've clearly communicated it. You've clearly communicated your boundary. You're standing in your conviction by not participating in that behavior. But very importantly, you're bouncing back. And more importantly than that, you're over-amplifying the good stuff in your relationship. If you're doing that, that person is going to, over time, realize this behavior doesn't fly. But these things that we love, they do. It's just my method. I hope it works for you. Give it a go. And by all means, drop in the comments. Let us know.